Hello creative people of the world and welcome to this video review. My name is Mina Shamali and today we're having a look at Impact Soundworks 8-string acoustic bouzouki, part of their Plectra Series 1, which also includes the Celtic harps. So very quickly, this is a Kontakt instrument. It requires the full version of Kontakt because it doesn't load in the library tab. And so you can access it from the Files tab or the Quick Load tab. And let's get straight into it. If you don't know what a bouzouki is, it's a traditional Greek instrument, sort of similar to a mandolin, but it has a very distinctive sound. It's that distinctive melody line from Zorba the Greek, you know, that plays da-dun, da-da-da-da-dun, da-da-da-da. That one. That melody that you're thinking of, that's a bouzouki, just in case you didn't know. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have a quick play of it, and then we're going to have a look at the interface and some of the features that it offers, and have a listen to a track I wrote in the background, just using this library to put it through some of its paces. So I'm just going to start off playing just off the keyboard straight, no key switches or anything. If you see here, it comes in two patches, which are just mic positions. And they're exactly the same, they just sound different. One's the close mic'd version, which is, you know, your standard studio miking, and room is a little further out, so it has a kind of a different sound, which is useful for situations in which you require that sound, which actually I've used here in the track as the chords in the back, but we'll get into that. So I've just loaded up the close. This is the main, this is how it comes out of the box. And I'll just play a little bit just on the keyboard. No key switches, no articulations. This is just playability, straight up. So straight off the bat, very playable in my opinion. Sounds good, very dynamic, very responsive, and you know, it sounds well recorded and it's very well programmed. So straight off the bat, it's inspiring to play, you know, and that's what you want out of a library. You want it to be inspiring when you play it. So you know, I can come up with melodies straight off the bat, and they sound really good without having to do anything already. So you know, it's just. And if you notice here, there's an illustration of the fretboard of a bouzouki, and it's very useful because it tells you where on these 4 strings you're playing your notes. So I'll just play a melody going up, or a scale going up, so just going like this. So you know, just natural minor scale, going right up, and it goes up the string. It's programmed to do that by itself. And that already saves you a lot of work in terms of what you want to do. And the neat thing is, when you're doing the fast runs as well, it kind of takes into account what a real player would do and goes down closer places on the fretboard. So I'm going to start like somewhere up here. So I start here and go down, you know, as quickly as I possibly can. I'm not fantastic, but you know, you get the idea. And rather than just go down the whole string and then back to these positions, it'll go down these positions right here. See, so it's very intelligently scripted to emulate real kind of techniques of playing. And, you know, I play guitar myself, not incredibly, but I play it well enough to know what needs to be done. And this is fantastic to sort of know what you're doing and where you're getting the most natural kind of voicing. It's also great if you're doing chords and you want to make the fingerings as authentic or as playable as possible. So you have a chord right here, and you can see where it is. You know, that's playable. Something like this. if you want to do as a chord, it's not going to really work because, you know, it's not really playable by a real player. So it's pretty fantastic. So you can do some pretty neat stuff with it right off the bat. I'll get into the settings view. So this is the performance view. The settings view, you have voice mode, which is monophonic or polyphonic. Monophonic lends itself... They're very similar, except they lend themselves to different kind of uses. So the monophonic lends itself to more lead lines, and it's not monophonic across the whole instrument, it's rather monophonic across the 4 strings. So, sorry about that. So you play on the string, I'm holding down the keys, sort of in a legato style, and it travels right up the string. Polyphonic is more suited to kind of simultaneous notes together. It still does as much of the staying on no more than 4 notes at the same time. It's just a little more flexible with what you want to do, seeing that you want to be playing stuff that's a little more chordal. If you do that on monophonic, it won't do it as well, you know. So this is me trying to play both at the same time, and it's not going to do it. It's because they're just designed differently, and you know that really does help you kind of get more out of the instrument. Now it's got some thresholds for fast picking and fast slow position. I think there might be different. Different samples that are recorded, like triggers this is a fast passage, so I'm going to trigger it if it's under the threshold. Now this is a monophonic. In polyphonic, it transforms to a chord threshold. So when you play a chord, it detects that it's a chord. And what's fantastic about this is if you notice here, you play a note, it alternates between upstroke and downstroke. So when you're doing chords on the polyphonic mode, it feels to me like that, you know, that might be what's happening, which, you know, when I've used this on the polyphonic mode to make chords out of it, it felt a lot more natural than, you know, than just playing them together. It feels like a chord, you know, rather than just stuff that's played, you know, just notes that are hit together. Because it doesn't, the way a pianist would usually just play block chords wouldn't be the same as when a guitarist or a bouzouki player actually plays. Now the auto reset, I'm assuming, has to do with the round robin, which this actually has plenty of. And, you know, after 15,000 milliseconds, then it just goes back to the first round robin, which, you know, helps make your playback a lot more consistent. Sample variation. Now, what I believe is happening here is this instrument already has round robins on its own. This may be the fake round robin method, which adds even more round robins if you want. Which I think, you know, on a lot of instruments, especially stuff like this that's plucked, works really well. So just have a listen without it. This is just the notes. You know, your upstrokes and your downstrokes. Now I'll do that again with the sample variation on. And, you know, you get more round robins, and they're not that far removed from the original, which, you know, can be the danger with this method. But it really works. So, you know, I like it. Now the pitch bend slide, this is a really, really neat feature. If you use the pitch bend, you keep it on, it'll actually slide down or up depending on what you do. So that's pretty cool. I don't know what it does with that. Yeah, without it just does nothing. And as I said, it alternates between downstrokes and upstrokes. So a velocity 125, or whatever the velocity is, you can just force a downstroke, which is, you know, gives you more control. Now the noise level, I'll be honest, I haven't really heard noise in these samples, so I'm at a loss as to what it actually does. But I suppose if anyone is finding any noise offensive... sorry, the noise level. It's not... I was thinking it was the recording noise. No. The noise would be the fretboard noises or the release noises that you're doing when you're playing, which are natural. So, yeah, that's control straight over it. Sorry, that passed me by before. I just realized it as I was saying it. But that's cool. So that's a lot of control right there. Now this, it loads up with some contact effects loaded already. So I'll just turn all the effects off. And so these are EQ, compressor, limiter, and reverb. So I'll turn them off and just listen to the raw samples. I'll keep that monophonic because that's what I had it on. Yeah. Which I think it's already sounds good raw, and then presents some EQ and compression, which aren't drastic as far as I can tell. Not really that drastic. I mean, maybe the compressor is a little drastic, but it still sounds good and natural to me, and dynamic. If I turn the compressor off and the limiter, it's even more dynamic if you want. So it's there, and reverb is it's pretty light. It's not really that heavy, so it's just kind of a little roomy, which works for me. Now we get to the fun stuff, the articulations, the key switch articulations. So I have a little help view here, which tells you what each key switch does. Now to engage any of these articulations, you hold the key switch down as long as you want that articulation. If you take it off, then it just goes on playing its normal, usual way. So let me just readjusting the mic here. Now the first 4 key switches, and this is genius. I think some guitar libraries already employ this. I couldn't be sure because I don't really have any guitar libraries. But the first four key switches allow you to specify the string you want to play a segment of your melody on, or even your whole melody on if you want. So the C string, the F string, the A string, and the D string, which is the natural tuning of this bouzouki. So let's go back to the performance view and hold down the one for the C string. I'll play a high melody just so you can hear what it does with it. So you're just starting up here, that's the top note. So that's the C string. So the next string on the F string, I'll play the same melody. And the next same thing on the A string. And then the D string. So an incredible amount of control there already. You don't really need it when you're just, you're doing the day-to-day kind of composing, because it already intelligently does these things for you. But the fact that you can control which part of it and add, a different tone to the same passage if you want. So you repeat a passage and a different part of the bouzouki and it already sounds different, a lot more tense. It's the same principle as, violins and cellos playing at the top of the fretboard rather than right at the bottom to kind of get even richer if you want, or get a more tense sound. So it's fantastic. That in itself just is beautiful. Now, as I said, it also alternates automatically between downstrokes and upstrokes, but you can engage a key switch, the first 2 black key switches, for downstroke when you want it and upstroke when you want it. So again, incredible amount of control. So that's always upstroke, always downstroke, and then always upstroke. Without it, it's already doing the alternation for you. Now the next 3 black key switches, they're your legato mode, You specify exactly what you want your player to do. So you got your hammer-ons and your pull-offs. The cool thing is it just doesn't, when you press hammer-on, it doesn't hammer on everything. It kind of picks every second note and hammers that on. So just have a listen. Just a passage going up. So going down, it didn't do anything, but going up, which works even better in the faster passage. You know, it's just, it's there. It's naturally what a player would do. I know this because I play guitar, so I don't play Bouzouki, but I suppose if I had time with one, I might be able to figure this out. Pull off, same thing, just downwards. Again, natural. And now if you want to pull off a kind of a hammer-on pull-off straight away, so that kind of thing, but make it more natural. You'd have to play them together, which, you know, with practice you can do live, or you can just program it in afterwards. One tiny gripe which I have with this, it's not really a gripe, maybe it's just me being a spoiled composer. And just maybe this is a request to Andrew Aversa, who's one of the main dudes at Impact Soundworks, and I'm a big fan of his work, both as a library designer and as Zircon as a musician. Some FL Studio composers might know him from all the demo projects. He's fantastic, just a fantastic all-rounder, which is one of the reasons I really like his libraries as well. I haven't got many of them yet, but, you know, trust me, it'll happen. But as I was saying, one of the gripes or the wishes that I would have is that maybe include a third voice mode, which is monophonic legato, which does the hammer-ons and pull-off automatically as you play. So rather than having to keep the key switch down, and then having to switch between up and down, especially in the faster passages, might be a little, if you're trying to do it live and more natural, might be counterintuitive. But if there was a legato mode to do that, could make life simpler, easier. But again, this is just me being spoiled, so that's cool. Now, the third key switch is a slide, which is, you know, you can slide to whatever note you want. And it's slide down as well. And if you have a look, it's pretty cool to just see it happen here. And of course, the softer your velocity, the slower the slide. So it's pretty cool, really, really cool. Now, just the last three key switches. You got your tremolo, so you know, if you heard, I was just doing this by doing my own tremolo by kind of triggering it this way, just like, you know, flying on top, or like, you know, really rehammering the keys. But you have a naturally recorded one as well. So hold this down. And sounds fantastic. And I suppose what I would have loved personally was more volume control on the tremolo and, like, you know, going up and down with it. Not a major gripe. It's just, you know, it's just, again, me being spoiled. It's just, I know there's some libraries that do that, and I was kind of naturally leaning towards that. So if there was some kind of, like, you know, while you have the tremolo engaged, you can put the mod wheel or the expression pedal up, I think that'll be, you know, a beautiful touch to it. Not a showstopper by any means, though. There's nothing about this library that's a showstopper, which is what I love. Like, you know, I can't complain about it. I could just wish it did a little more. That's all I could do. It already does so much. It's only like, you know, 12 key switches, which aren't really all complicated, and they're all entirely useful and do with a multitude of stuff, which is fantastic. The last two, it's actually 3 key switches. They did a sneaky there where you have the A and the B, and the A and B together. So the A gives you the major chords, just sampled major chords. If you play it soft, it plays slow chords. So. And if you play it harder, it just gives you a staccato chord, kind of, in different positions. That's pretty cool. Same with the minors. And, you know, if you play softer as well. And together, diminished. Which which are only really 2 positions because the tuning wouldn't allow for natural diminished chords anyway. But yes, so that's the articulations, and you know, this is what I love about the instrument. It's simple, intuitive, sounds good without the key switches, and then when you employ the key switches, it's a whole other level. So, you know, I'm really loving this as a Bouzouki emulation until such time as I obtain a real Bouzouki and learn the damn thing. Until then, this is fantastic. You know, I could really get, and being a guitarist, I could really get inside the head of a Bouzouki player, thinking about it the same way I would as I would guitar. So I suppose the only thing left to do is just have a listen to the demo track I wrote using it. It's pretty short, nothing complex, but you know, I tried to use some of the key switches to effect. I didn't mess with the strings because I was happy with how it sounded, but you know, if I wanted that control, I could do that. So I could just employ the first 4 key switches and, you know, really get a lot of control out of it. But yes, I'll just put the effects back on just for the mix, and I'll also open up the other Bouzouki track I have, which is actually just the chords. I took the room mic and, you know, employed the chords to go with it. So play chords on it, doubled it up, tuned it down, and transposed it up, which, you know, is just a trick to be able to double the same instrument without phasing, because you're using different samples, so it doesn't phase. I like this trick to kind of obtain ensembles out of single instruments. But it's pretty cool. So we'll have a listen to the track, and you'll see them both, and yeah, enjoy. So there's that little demo track. You know, the little help from Sonokinetics Sultan drums for the Derbeke and the Def, and you know, some Delphi, and some violin from Adagio, just that little lead violin. So yeah, so that's that track. So, you know, conclusion, at $59 a pop, or you know, $59 a Bouzouki, definite steal. And one of the things I love about Impact Soundworks is very good prices on very fantastic instruments, even if it's just single instruments or like, you know, 2 or 3 instruments per collection. Fantastic price, fantastic bang for the buck, and not much more left to say. I don't know what you're still doing watching this review. Just go out and get it. Like, seriously, just now, press buy, add to cart right now. I'm really loving it, and I can't wait to see what other kinds of similar instruments Andrew may sample in the future, which I will definitely be getting. So yeah, there we go. Till the next review, till the next video, till the next time, stay creative. See you later.